How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. Well, the shutdown continues, and people continue to not receive their SNAP benefits, not receive other government benefits that they may need. Federal employees continue to not be paid. Congress is still getting paid, though, aren't they? Never mind the fact that they're not even working. Especially the House. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Mike Johnson. Yeah, the House is out of session, and Johnson is telling us that the House cannot reconvene until the government opens, even though the government cannot reopen until the House reconvenes. He is refusing to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva of Arizona, thereby denying the 7th District of Arizona representation. What's that, roughly 800,000 people? 800,000 Americans without representation. Great. And he says that he can't do that until the House is called into a legislative session. Okay, call the House into a legislative session there, Mike. Even though that's not true, all right? Because twice, earlier this year, Republicans, a couple of Republicans were elected in special elections, right? It's been something like 40 days since Adelita Grijalva was elected, back in September. So, the House has not been in session because Johnson is too busy, let's just say doing something to Trump that is inappropriate for certain audiences. If you have your kids with you, I'm not going to say that. I mean, you can pretty much guess where I'm going with that. But yeah, and then they want to continue to blame the Democrats, right? By the way, Grijalva, her being sworn in, it can happen in a pro forma session. Pro forma session, that can be just, hey, gavel in the House for just a minute, gavel it out right away, And they've done that multiple times recently. Gavel it in, swear her in, gavel it out. It's that easy. It is that easy. But they would rather keep the government shut down. This is now the longest government shutdown in American history. The longest one. So, Trump has beaten his own record. He has beaten his own record for the longest government shutdown. And his party is in full control of the government. Now, you want to blame the Democrats because, they could just go along with, we just need a few of them to go along with the Republicans. Okay, let me ask you this, right? Let me ask you this, if that's your way of thinking. If you were a United States Senator, right, and the opposing party had the majority, and they wanted to pass something that you thought was a bad idea, would you go along with it? Would you go along with it? Knowing that this legislation does not pass without your vote. I think most of us know the answer. You wouldn't go along with it. I wouldn't. Right? So I am not faulting the Democrats for a couple reasons. First of all, if you need 60 votes in the House, or excuse me, in the Senate, if you need 60 votes in the Senate, offer the Democrats something that they can vote for, that they can get, those 7 votes or whatever they need, right? Offer them something that they can support to reopen the government. Or do what Trump is telling you to do, which I would never advise doing what Trump tells you to do, but it's an option that the Republicans have in the Senate. They could vote to end the filibuster. They could use the nuclear option so that they only need 51 votes. They could do it. They could end it right now. But the shutdown can't end with the House out of session. And the House, Johnson is talking in circles here, right? Mike Johnson, he's talking in circles, right? Well, we can't swear in Altalita Grijalva because we're not in session. And we're not in session because the government is shut down. And the government is but the government is shut down because you're not in session. Well, that's because the Democrats in the Senate, okay, so Senate Democrats are responsible for a House representative not getting sworn in, is kind of the long way around. I mean, he's not actually saying that, but that's kind of what he's saying. Hey, Arizona, 7th District of Arizona, you don't get representation until Senate Democrats go along with what I tell you, with what we want them to do. So you know what? Your representation doesn't matter. We all know the real reason that he's not swearing in Grijalva. We all know the reason why she is not being sworn in. And the reason for that is because it's already a razor-thin majority in the House for the Republicans. Right? It's already razor-thin. Adding one more Democrat makes it even thinner. There has been recent talk of trying to get rid of Nancy Mace, a Republican, which would even narrow that margin even more. Whether they're actually going to get rid of Nancy Mace or not, I don't know. I think that's a foolish idea for the Republicans, but hey, I think it was a foolish idea for South Carolina to elect her. Whatever. But Altalita Grijalva will be the 218th vote that is required on the discharge petition in order to release the Epstein files. Johnson doesn't want those files released. Why not? I mean, Trump said he would release those files, right? He said he would release the files. Now he's saying, well, we don't need to see them because there's nothing in there. Well, if there's nothing in them, show us. Why are you afraid to show us if there's nothing there? Let us see it. That's really what this government shutdown is all about, I think. I think it's all about keeping those files under wraps. I think it's all about that because we all know that Trump is in those files. We all know it. Right? He was best friends with Epstein. Right? And this is documented fact. He was best friends with Epstein. Now that alone does not prove that he was involved in Epstein's activities. There have been enough accusations against him, and you're going to tell me that all of them are lying? All of them? Come on. Yeah. He has been credibly accused by something like 24 women. Of being a predator, credibly accused by over 24. All of them are lying, every single one? Not likely. Not likely. And then we have, the fact that he said he threw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago because Epstein was poaching the help. Taking girls from him. That makes me wonder something. Let's just assume for a minute that Trump is not a pedophile. Let's just assume that for a minute. I mean, there's evidence to suggest that he is, including the creepy ways that he's talked about his own daughter, the Katie Johnson accusations, the little girl on the escalator. Yeah, I'm going to be dating her in a few years. There are reasons to believe that he is, but let's just assume for a minute that he's not. All right? Was he perhaps, and this is just a theory that I have heard, and it's possible, and I don't know if this is true or not, but was he, even if he wasn't doing anything to the girls, was he providing them? Was he providing Epstein with girls? I don't know. He may have been. He may have been. I mean, we don't know that, and please don't go making false accusations based on that, right? But it is an interesting question. That is certainly a possibility. So, yeah. He's in the files. The government is shut down. People are going hungry right now, because SNAP benefits are not being paid out. Right? So SNAP is not being paid out because, oh yeah, on that, well, the courts can't tell us what we legally have to do. That's effectively what J.D. Vance said. I mean, obviously I'm paraphrasing, but that's effectively what he said. That the courts can't tell us what we're legally obligated to do. Gee, it's almost like there might be an actual branch of government that determines what the law is and what the law means. That just might be the courts, right? Just might be what the courts are there for. But they're not going to pay out SNAP benefits until, I mean, basically, they want to starve people, 42 million Americans, until Democrats cave and basically, we're not going to let you eat until you let us raise your health care costs or take your health care away. Because if they raise health care costs, some people will lose their health care because they won't be able to afford it anymore. Right? So if you don't let us raise your health care costs, we're not going to let you eat. So that's what Trump wants to do, right? In violation of court orders, mind you. And Vance defends that as well. The courts don't get to tell us what to do. Yeah, actually, they do. Each branch is a check on the other. I mean, the House voted to appropriate that money. The House is in charge of the money. Which, side note, that's why Trump's tariffs are illegal and unconstitutional and need to be shut down, because he doesn't have the authority to impose them. Congress has that authority. It means it has to pass through the House, then through the Senate, and then Trump can sign it. But he's not going to do that. Again, I just kind of got sidetracked there a little bit with the tariffs. But yeah, let's take away SNAP, because we can't raise your health care. And we can't raise your health care because those damn Democrats over there in the Senate won't vote for what we tell them that they have to vote for, even though they completely disagree with us and they're taking a stand on something based on principle. And Mike Johnson, who could call the House into order, refuses to do so because the government is shut down, but the government can't reopen until he calls the House into order. And he won't swear in Adelita Grijalva, because he can't do that unless we're in a full legislative session, even though he's sworn in Republicans without a full legislative session. And we can't have, basically, Arizona, you're screwed until the government reopens. And then I'm sure he'll find some other excuse. Yeah, they keep talking in circles, and they make no sense. If you actually listen to what they say, they make no sense. They are constantly contradicting themselves. Well, if you're constantly contradicting yourself, and there's precedent for you doing what you say you can't do, what are we left to conclude? What are we left to conclude? I'll catch y'all next time.